Welcome to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. Welcome to the Peak, where we say the quiet stuff out loud. We are hyper-local news talk for the Pikes Peak region, and so happy to have you joining us on Tuesdays, which is always our government and politics day. And we are having, what I love to do here is one of our civil discussions. What is a civil discussion? Well, it's sort of like a debate, but we don't want a debate because we're neighbors and we're all in this together. And so we don't want more divisiveness. And we actually, as a society, very much need to learn how to have civil discussions again. So it does have, and I will explain a little bit later, what the rules are of this, but we are going to keep it civil. That's my job as the moderator here. And what is the topic of today? Well, it's the Karman line annexation, the initiative, the project that is on the ballot right now, that if you live in municipal Colorado Springs, you have the opportunity to vote on. You should have gotten your ballot and vote on it before June 17th. So we have with us in the studio today a proponent of the initiative, of the ordinance, and two who are against it. We have Eli Bremer, who is a founding partner of the development project, and we have on the yes side, and we have on the no side, City Councilman Dave Donelson and ballot initiative registered agent Ann Rush. And again, this civil discussion is regarding the Karman line annexation. So Eli, Dave, Ann, thanks so much for being on the Peak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hon.
So very quickly, I'm going to read a statement regarding this ordinance. This was all agreed upon. We'll let you know in the next segment, what all the rules are, but all of this has been agreed upon to have a civil discussion. So the proposed ordinance to annex 1,900 acres of ranch land near Schriever Space Force Base into Colorado Springs city limits was first passed by City Council on by a 7-2 vote conducted January 28th of this year. Opposition to the annexation project organized a petition drive to attempt to return the decision to the voters in a ballot question called a referendum. After the committee successfully collected over 18,000 valid signatures, the annexation question was returned to the City Council for a vote to refer it to the ballot. By passing the measure, the ordinance was then referred to the voters in a special election to be completed June 17th. And then, if I have all of my crazy notes in front of me here, I will read the ordinance in the next segment because I don't seem to have. Oh, here we go. The ordinance itself that you are voting on is, shall the voters approve Ordinance 25-6 concerning annexing that area known as Karman Line Addition Number 6, consisting of 1,876.24 acres located northwest of Bradley Road and Curtis Road intersection into the city of Colorado Springs. So, first that we're going to do now that we've read that and I've introduced the guests, I'm going to give each guest 30 seconds to introduce themselves and their relation to the project. Start with Eli Bremer, 30 seconds.
Hi, thanks for hosting this today. I think most of your viewers know or listeners know who I am. Eli Bremer. I'm a Colorado Springs native, went to the Air Force Academy, was then stationed at Schriever and Peterson Space Force bases, competed in the Olympics. I'm one of the founding partners of this. I'm excited to have this conversation today because I think most of your folks know I love standing for objective truth. I'm a born-again Christian, and I believe that truth matters. I think I've stood against men competing in women's sports, and in the same way, I want to talk about the truth today, and so I'm excited to have this discussion.
City Councilman Dave Donelson.
Yeah, thank you, Chaim, and thanks to all your listeners. I'm Dave Donelson. I represent City Council District 1 on City Council. I'm also the chair of the Colorado Springs Utilities Board of Directors, also the president of the El Paso County Board of Health. My wife and I came here back in 1991 with our little daughter. So we've really put down roots and been here almost ever since. I was recently reelected, and the reason I think I was, so it did so well, citizens trust me. I represent them on City Council. Thanks.
Ann Rush.
Thank you very much for having us here. I'm Dr. Ann Rush, and I'm a retired military from the Air Force. I served 21 years and retired out of Schriever Space Force Base now. And I'm here as a concerned citizen. I have property out in rural El Paso County. And so I'm excited to talk about why we are against this.
Okay, you're listening to The Peak. We are having a civil discussion regarding the Karman line annexation with a proponent of yes and two of no on the ballot. When we come back, we're going to be getting into the questions, telling you how we're doing this civil discussion, getting into the questions, and you can watch us. We're live streaming on our Facebook and YouTube page. We'll be right back with The Peak. Okay, 4-minute break.
4 minutes.
But we're still live streaming. So, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And obviously no Jim today.
And we're
just
3
going
minutes
through
on
it.
this one?
What?
This is a 3-minute break?
It's a 4-minute break.
4 minutes.
If you do decide, Jim, I have
No,
the Karman line.
no, I know, but we're not. That wouldn't keep things balanced, bringing in his opinion.
And so now we're going to the 10-minute, correct?
This is going to the 10-minute segment.
Okay.
Where we will be doing, I'll be doing what the civil discussion rules are. Then Eli, why is this good for Colorado Springs? You'll have 90 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody need water, coffee, anything? I'm going to grab myself
Good.
water.
Good.
You're all good? Is 10 seconds good? Would you prefer 15? Do you want us to give me
That's
a
fine.
third? Do you want do you want me to give you a 30? Do you like this?
What
Go
are
ahead.
you talking
I don't
about?
care.
The amount of time that you're warned to finish up. You want more signs, like a 30-second sign or a 15-second sign?
I
would be
mean,
helpful.
I guess a 15-second sign would
15.
be good,
Okay,
yeah.
so this is now going to mean 15. Okay, wrap it up means 15. Okay, cool. Okay, we're back in about a minute. And can
So now
everybody
this is endorsements?
be seen in the?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is now endorsements?
This is, yeah. I mean, you can even look at the script.
Yep.
The questions are all in the script.
Oh.
Number one.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Opening
Yeah.
statements.
So the
do
intro
you
is
want?
what was not on here. Okay.
Uh,
So I'm
well,
going
again,
first.
if you go to the script, you'll see it more. Those were for you to review, but this is the actual script. I gave you a script,
Okay.
right? Did I not give you a script?
Maybe.
You did.
I did, right?
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're on segment 2
Got it.
of the script.
You're very organized here, hon.
I try. That's radio. Tight. Speak quickly and also know that it's just voice. So it should be a little over the top because your voice has to carry everything. So just think about that. If you sound chill, it'll come out sleepy on the other end. So generally push a little more presence on the radio. I know, Dave, you only do chill. I know you're looking at me like, what is that like? But Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer. It's Government and Politics Day, and we are taking on the Karman line annexation, really controversy, very controversial subject here in the Springs. It's gone to a vote from a ballot initiative, an ordinance proposal. And if you live in Colorado Springs, you have an opportunity to vote on this until June 17th. We have as our guest today on the program, who on the yes side of the ordinance, Eli Bremer, founding partner of the development project. On the no side, City Councilman Dave Donelson, and ballot initiative registered agent Ann Rush. And what we do here on the Peak is we have civil discussions, not debates. It's formatted like a debate. We're seeking to give equal time, going back and forth, trading off. All of the questions have been discussed and agreed on ahead of time by all parties, and this is going to be timed as we go throughout. So this is a public service from us, the Peak, to you, because people are wondering, how should I vote on this? And so we like to bring in people who can represent both sides well. So we're starting this with Eli Bremer, who is on the yes side of it. And this is a type of opening statement. Eli, why is this ordinance, why is this project of the Karman line annexation good for Colorado Springs? 90 seconds.
Well, after I graduated the Air Force Academy, I got stationed at Schriever, and every day I would drive out Highway 94. And I remember that commute very well. I also remember passing by cars on the side of the road in the wintertime where people had had accidents, and the difficulty of the life of working at Schriever. When I left Schriever, I remember thinking I would love to make this base a better place if I ever had the opportunity to. A couple of years ago, I was presented with this opportunity, and I took it to a businessman in town, Kevin O'Neill. He's a major defense contractor, and I said, Kevin, I think we could really use a lot more amenities around Schriever and between Schriever and Peterson. He's a major defense contractor. He brings a lot of jobs to town. He agreed with it. So we moved ahead to form the Karman Line project. Karman Line is situated in between Peterson and Schriever, and it will provide amenities to both of those Space Force bases. Both of those bases are growing, not just because of Space Force, but also because of the Golden Dome, which is expected to bring $170 billion. Some of that's going to come to Colorado Springs. It's going to have an incredibly positive impact on our city. The independent city study showed about $50 million coming in, creating 30,000 jobs, and having a very sustainable water future. It's a good policy for water, and it will also help with the eventual development of the Bostrom Reservoir, which is adjacent to the development. So it's literally across the street from city-owned land today, and it'll help Schriever and Peterson.
Dave Donelson, and we're going to Ann. And Ann, well, I'll ask you about Dave Donelson, Ann Rush. Why do you feel this is not good? The Karman line extension is not good for Colorado Springs. 90 seconds.
Thank you. Well, first, this discussion is not about Karman line development. It is about annexing the Karman line parcel into Colorado Springs. And that's what this whole election is all about, is whether or not this parcel of land should become a part of Colorado Springs. And our pushback is simple. It's not smart growth. It's an illogical extension. It requires a flagpole annexation, which is highly looked down upon by all city government representatives, where it's this thin strip of land on Bradley Road, 3.6 miles out to the actual ranch land parcel. There is a cost from that CSU has touted that it's anywhere from $89.9 million to $139 million that is going to be required to be paid by the citizens of Colorado Springs who use CSU's utilities. So, those are the really big pushbacks there. The other thing, too, is where will Colorado Springs get the water? They're already at a 34,000 acre foot deficit, and this will add on to it. And I think Dave is going to talk more about that in the future there. It's also talking about the housing needs right now, since you brought that up. We have many housing developments going on right now along Bradley and Mark Sheffel. And so I think we're going to talk more about that in our discussion.
And can I just quickly correct, because that was
no.
Okay, because what she said about it was just demonstrably not true. It's the developer has to pay. So I just want to correct that.
Okay, but
that's not utilities.
Okay,
but not true.
But we're not doing this, and we can do that during your time.
Okay,
but no, please don't interrupt again.
Okay.
Okay, second question. This is regarding endorsements, and we'll be starting with the no side this time. Who on each side is supporting the yes and no campaigns? It's been framed in the campaign literature as some kind of partisan issue or maybe a developer rivalry. Is it really what that's about? Is that really what it's about?
Well, I'm.
We're going to Ann Rush.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm really glad that you're asking that question because I've been saying this time and time again. This started out with our community out by Schriever Air Force Base, or Space Force Base, excuse me. And it was citizens that got word that this annexation was going to happen. And we're like, oh, wait a minute, we don't want Colorado Springs out here. I mean, that's the honest truth. And so we had community meetings. We went to the planning meeting that lost by a score of 4-3. And then we went to the planning meetings time and time again. We had our first community hall meeting where I said, guys, if we need to take this to the petition. Are you guys up for that? And they said, absolutely. And so from the word go, on January 14th, I told the city council members that we highly encouraged you to vote no on this annexation. And if not, we would do what it took to put it on a petition and give it to the people to make that decision, because we think that the citizens of Colorado Springs, and actually our efforts during the petition validated that, because we had over 31,000 people in less than 2 weeks sign this petition. I mean, they were eager to come in there. They were asking us, where are the petitioners? You know, we want to go sign this or whatever, because they were just so furious with the city not taking care of what was going on in the city. And so all of this happens, mainly from the people.
Okay, you get 15 seconds when I signal you on that.
Okay.
So you have another 5 seconds.
Oh,
Are
I
you
thought
done?
I was done. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, this is 15. But
okay.
Quick, finish
All
up.
right. So I'm just going to say that right now, this is a citizens movement. Absolutely. Did we have to get sponsorships and all of that stuff? Absolutely. But we had over 78 individuals who gave money and time and that kind of thing to this.
Okay. Eli, same question. Who is on the yes side of the campaign? It's being framed in campaign literature as some kind of partisan issue, maybe a developer rivalry. Is that what this is really about? 90 seconds.
No, we've been very transparent. I'm a founding partner, Kevin O'Neill, several other local people. Back to objective truth, and this is your campaign finance report that shows that you raised $900, and yet $450,000 was publicly reported as hiring the petitioners. I'll turn some time back to you and say, were you responsible for that money?
No, we're not.
This is about, you asked who's supporting it, because then I'll just go out
I understand.
and say,
Make your statement.
Then I'll come out and say it, because I said earlier I'm about objective truth. The truth is that there was a large monopoly in town that has a business interest in this failing. On February 8th, Ann held a meeting at a neighbor's house where they coordinated and announced that they would be working with Steve Durham, who was employed by that corporation. And since that time, there has been about $750,000 spent. This is not a citizen-led initiative. This is heavily financed. There were about 100 people that were flown in from out of town. I've got 2 hours of video of these out-of-town petitioners lying to our citizens to put this on the ballot. So I have the public campaign finance reports here. I'll happily share them with anybody who wants them. And it's been very transparent. So on one side, you've got people like me, Kevin O'Neill, who's a major businessman. On the other side, you've got a group of people who are saying that it's a citizen-led initiative. But the campaign finance reports don't lie. Either people are falsely filing reports, or what was just said right here on your show is demonstrably false. So I think it's important for Christians to know that and pursue the truth.
Okay, we have about 30 seconds I can give them. Is that okay to give them 30?
Yeah, if I can have a rebuttal.
Well,
also.
we won't have time for that.
Okay, then.
So can they respond to what you just said?
Well, I was going to concede my time.
I understand. So can I give that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
go for it.
30 seconds to respond.
Well, I will just say that Steve Durham had really nothing to do with this. He was living down in Arizona at the time. We did have, a person that was a spokesperson when we filed a petition, but that was just because we didn't know what we were doing, because we were common citizens. And I'm kind of offended, because I very much am a very devout Christian, and God has had His hand on all of this. This was an answer to our prayers.
Here's your final.
So thank you.
Okay. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. Aren't we having fun here on this civil discussion on the Karman Line Annex? We have Eli Bremer representing yes, Councilman Dave Donelson and Ann Rush representing no. When we come back, more questions so that you can decide. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We'll be right back. Okay.
I'd like to be able to concede time because I'm
Yeah.
sitting here with public reports. That
I
just
understand, but
contradict
this is not how we're conducting the civil discussion. We're not doing it.
I think if people say things that I have documentation.
By the way, this is the bonus time that's
Okay,
going out
great.
over. So this is
Okay.
the final video. So even during the breaks,
Great.
this can be
So
going out.
here's what I was not allowed to
This
show.
is behind the scenes, folks.
I have the finance report that actually shows that $900 was raised and yet $500,000 was spent. And we've been dealing with this from the beginning, that there has been zero transparency behind this. So I think it's important to say we're very clear about who we are. But when you have a group that presents as a grassroots organization and yet public documents simply, it just belies that.
So guys, so Dave, this is going out on the live stream. So we actually didn't even think about that. This is sort of bonus footage because in the end, the video is really what's going to go out. There's been an accusation regarding lack of transparency about who's funding it. We still have a couple more minutes.
Are these reports that you filed accurate?
Are
I
you?
was
Here's the
understand.
deal, Haim, is I'm here to give, to talk about why citizens should vote yes or no on this. As far as who contributed to having petition gatherers come out here, that's water under the bridge now. Citizens need to know, is this a good idea or a bad idea for the city?
So
that's what I'm talking about.
Dave, I would just maybe challenge you on that because you've been very vocal about, city council people who take money from developers and how that may impact how they vote. So
If we're going to answer this, then let's do it when we're on air.
I
Okay,
think
if
we
you
are,
want me to
actually.
answer that question,
But-
I will.
Okay.
But then I
well,
would
in a
like-
way, this video
See, and
is
then we're
going
going to be
out.
off track.
But Haim, if that happens, I would like to present because Ann just said that she organized this.
Here's what I'll say right
demonstrably
now,
false.
though.
I'm just saying, don't you
What-
see that the
what I
voters
will
might want to
say,
know who's
and
funding
here
either
I'm gonna
side of the
say
campaign?
it.
Okay.
Is that I was there when we voted on this on city council. Ann and others were there speaking against it, right? They went out and started gathering signatures. They did that on their own. If
The
another
450
developer,
please don't interrupt.
developer wants to support what they're doing, what are they going to do? Tell them no. We refuse to accept your help on some just because we refuse to. No, they said okay, we'll take the help because I think they believe in this. They believe in what they're doing.
Regardless
you
of
wanna
what the motives
criticize-
of the people, of the money givers,
What's that?
people who donate can have their own motivations. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same motivations as the people. who are
Haim,
That's
I think-
true.
Right. I'm saying that's.
I think transparency is important because Ann
we have
said
about
that
30
she ran the effort. That's simply not true, or they're lying on their campaign finance
We're not
reports.
lying. There's no lying. on
They
this
they
campaign
collected
finance
about
report.
1,000 signatures,
Everything-
and the paid petition gatherers paid by Norwood
right,
Development
because we all
got the
have
rest.
we have work to
So
do.
it was
We-
Norwood.
I
not
am
you.
not going. I am saying that our thing there. We're not going to talk about this, but I do want to. I do want to bring up the Springs utility thing whenever you get a
okay.
chance.
So not so civil during the breaks, but civil on the end.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to maintain that. If
I know.
every time we go to commercial, we attack each other.
Okay.
So,
So do we want to, from now on, we're shutting things down during the breaks? We're back in 5.
It's your show.
Okay. Well, yes, but it's your show also. We're
Well,
citizens. We're all
yeah.
citizens
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer on Government and Politics Tuesday, as we discuss the Karman line annexation with yes proponent Eli Bremer and no proponents, Councilman Dave Donelson and Ann Rush. And you should tune into the live stream. I don't know if it's going to be as exciting in the break, but while we're at commercial, it's been interesting here. But we will have civil discussions on the air, what happens at the breaks. Not so sure you can go on Facebook and YouTube. So we're getting into housing in this question. We're starting with Eli Bremer. You'll have 90 seconds. Who is the market for this housing? Both city and military officials have expressed the need for affordable housing in that area. Does this qualify, Eli Bremer?
Yes, absolutely. It does, Haim. There's been a lot of misinformation and flat out lies put out by the opposition saying that housing starts at $450,000. That's simply not true. I'm holding in my hands the fiscal impact study that was paid for by the city of Colorado Springs and that was conducted by Dr. Tatiana Bailey. On page 6, it says market value for Karman line homes begin at $217,500. Now, this was heavily influenced by our desire to support Schriever and Peterson Space Force bases. People have correctly said that these young officers and young enlisted cannot afford attainable housing in our community, and that's quite true. We've been operating in a monopolistic environment where we don't have enough housing coming onto the marketplace. And if you believe in free markets, then you understand that pricing, when you have high prices, it's because you don't have enough new product coming on the market. It's all supply and demand. Anything else is sort of voodoo economics. So as we look forward, Karman Line will be producing thousands of units that military members are going to be able to purchase. Also, they'll also service Amazon, the airport. There's a tremendous need for housing in that part of the city. This is a master plan community that will meet that housing need. It'll have a variety of housing options there. It'll also have new schools, new shopping centers, churches, parks, playgrounds, all that kind of stuff. So it's a master plan community that'll be a great place for military members to live, work, and play affordably.
Councilman Dave Donelson, who do you believe is the market for this housing? And both city and military officials have expressed the need for affordable housing. Do you believe this qualifies?
Yeah, thanks, Haim. No, I don't think this will work for junior enlisted service members at Schriever or anywhere else. And I have here, I'm holding the letter from the Space Base Delta One commander, Colonel Cluck, and he did something unusual. He sent out a memo on the 21st of May, which they usually don't do that. And what he talks about in this memo is how they're concerned about encroachment on Schriever and other military facilities, but Schriever especially. Why are they worried about that? Because they put it out there for a reason originally when it was built. It was built miles and miles away from the city because of the mission they do out there. So the only thing that's underlined in this whole memorandum is he says, community support remains essential to our success. Affordable and appropriate housing for our, this is underlined, junior service members, lower wage grade, and civil service employees is crucial. And then he goes on and says some other stuff about housing there. I got a text message yesterday from the proponents of the Karman Line annexation saying the housing would start in the 200,000s. So I checked in, and I'm almost running out of time, but I checked in with our planning department today. The city didn't pay for that study. I believe it was the developer that paid for the study. But in the study, it says that single-family attached property market is 400,000, small lot single-family properties 500,000, traditional suburban properties 650,000.
Okay, we're at it.
Estates 1.5 million. So it's not going to be for junior enlisted.
Okay. He took another 10 seconds. Do you want to take another 10 seconds quick, Eli?
Yes. Dave, is this the fiscal impact study the city of Colorado Springs conducted?
We'll keep going, Haim.
Okay. So he handed over, you can see on the live stream, this fiscal study.
We were required.
You have 10 seconds.
We were required to submit the funding, but the city paid for it and had and was the contractor. They are the official buyer of this.
So it was paid for by the Karman Line. That's not important. What is important, my understanding is the $200,000 amount in there is for multifamily, like apartment units. Why does it need to be in there? Because we have to tax that. So we're going to tax it at 217.
Okay.
They're not going to be selling houses. Has anyone seen a house for 200,000 in El Paso County?
Okay. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We're having a civil discussion of sorts about the Karman Line Annex with developer Eli Bremer, City Councilman Dave Donelson, and other proponent Ann Rush. We'll be back with more questions. You're listening to The Peak.
How long is this one?
The next one, this is it.
I asked Kevin Walker about this today. And the 200,000.
This is just a 2-minute break.
Okay.
But anyway, the 200,000 is for taxing purposes for apartments and maybe condos, but not for homes.
I talked to Tatiana about this, who prepared it, and she said it's as it says, it's multifamily homes.
Look at the paragraph above
Market,
it.
market value
Look at the paragraph above it.
I said for multifamily.
Well,
No.
what
Look
is
at
a
the paragraph above
multifamily
it.
home?
It's got the definition, it's a townhome, it's a duplex, or it's a condo. That's the definition legally of a multifamily. We had nothing to do with this report.
And
It's a
Ann,
fee that's
just remember,
charged to
this means
the
15
developer.
seconds
Sure.
to wrap
I
it
thought
up.
when he reached out, I thought he was saying I was done, and so that's why I stopped. So I thought
I'm-
Dave was
oh,
telling me
okay.
so. Sorry.
No, I just want you
I
to
talked
make
to
sure so we don't
Tatiana
get
about it.
confused.
She told me
in
that.
Yeah,
moving
no
forward.
worries.
1 minute. We're back.
We'll have to see. I can show you what this report says about actual homes.
And I
they
think-
do
Well-
start, the very minimum is 400,000, then it goes up.
That's
from there.
true almost nationwide, but multifamily homes are considered homes. And if you're a junior enlisted or a junior officer, that's
Yeah, but
basically
not with the family.
not
with
I'm
the
sorry,
family.
but that's what you're
Your
in the market
O1s
for.
through
now.
their E1s through E4s. If they're living on base and they're single, they're going to live on base in the dorms.
That's
If they
correct.
have a family, they're going to need housing off base.
And that's typically
a
apartments.
condominium
That's
that is-
typically apartments.
Not if they have children.
That's
No.
the standard. It's
I was an E1. I know. So
Okay. Back in 15. Welcome back to the Peak News. We are rocking this town and saying the quiet stuff out loud regarding the Karman line annexation ballot initiative. How are you going to vote? If you have until June 17th to decide on this annexation ballot initiative. And we have in the studio today, yes proponent and founding partner of the development project, Eli Bremer, and no proponent, City Councilman Dave Donelson, and ballot initiative registered agent Ann Rush. And we are having a civil discussion as much as we can. It's sort of like a debate, but without the shouting, hopefully. So next question, and this is going to Dave Donelson to begin with. This is regarding water. Where will the water for the development and the proposed Bostrom Reservoir come from, and who is paying for the utilities infrastructure? You have 2 minutes.
Okay. So thanks again, Haim. 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
The water for the Bostrom Reservoir. Well, we'll start with, I got a text message yesterday. Again, I think it was the same text message, and it says we have 450,000. We have the rights to 450,000 acre feet of water per year. False. We do not have those rights. We have a right to store that much water, which we don't have, and we'll really essentially never get that. We have the paper rights for 250,000 acre feet, which we've never gotten, right? Because you can't get water that's not there. You can't get water out of the Colorado River that's not there. The most we've ever gotten is 145,000 acre feet on the biggest year. The lowest year was 50,000 acre feet. That's less than we use in Colorado Springs. That's why we have reservoirs to hold water for those low years. The Bostrom Reservoir, which in the commercials, they say, I saw a commercial this morning or heard it, I can't remember. It's kind of like going to come along with the annexation. If you vote yes on this, you're going to get the Bostrom Reservoir. Not true. The Bostrom Reservoir at the earliest is 20 years away. It may never happen if we don't get further agreements with the ranchers and farmers down on the lower Arkansas River. And those guys, Jack Goebel is one, came up here when we had the hearings and voted on this. They're very concerned with Colorado Springs growing with flagpole annexations. They thought they were agreeing to help us if we were going to grow within our current city boundaries. They were going to help us acquire some more water rights to build out the current boundaries. Now that we're flagpole annexing roughly 2,000 acres into the city, that can affect our ability to get more water for the city of Colorado Springs. It's a fact that we are short about 34,000 to 40,000 acre feet to build out what we have now inside the city.
Eli Bremer, where will the water for the development and Bostrom Reservoir come from, and who is paying for the utilities infrastructure? 2 minutes.
Who's paying for the utilities infrastructure? Easy. It's the development has to pay for it. I'm handing Councilman Donelson the official report from Colorado Springs Utilities, which I think he's now seen. It is not just water storage. I spoke yesterday to one of the preeminent water experts in the state, Dave Merritt, about this. Water is very confusing. Colorado Springs, from all appearances, and according to this document that I got from Colorado Springs Utilities, says they own 454,000 acre feet. Councilman Donelson is correct that not all that is what's called wet water, but he referred to the Colorado River Basin and then immediately switched over to the Arkansas River, which is a little bit of a non sequitur. Okay, I took a long time for me to understand the water, and it's really easy for people to throw these numbers around. But the truth of the matter is, we own a tremendous amount of water, enough to fill up the Bostrom Reservoir. In fact, I've got a post here from City Council just a few years ago talking about the Bostrom Reservoir and how they're looking forward to bringing it to fruition. So the water is there. The infrastructure to bring it in so far is not. Now, Councilman Donelson referred to having plenty of land inside the city. We do. We have 18,000 acres, and it's actually owned by the entity that's funding Ann Rush and her organization, which is why they're interested. They want to build about 70,000 homes in that area. And so there does not seem to be, on the one side, concern that's the build out that Councilman Donelson was talking about with 70,000 homes, that we probably need some more water over the next 75 to 100 years while that comes to fruition. But we're talking about 6,000 homes. So there's a lot of like smoke and mirrors going on here, because the truth of the matter is, when Colorado Springs acquires more water, they'll bring it to Colorado Springs. They'll actually use that water once, and about 85% of it gets sent back down the Arkansas River to those lower Arkansas communities. So this is a complex issue, but when you dig down into it, it's simply easy to see that people are using this issue just for their own economic means, and the numbers are the numbers. We have 454,000 acre feet of water that the city owns, and I think it's about time we start using that.
Next question regarding the military. We're starting with Eli Bremer. And everyone here, all three guests are former military, active duty. Active duty?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Are you, Eli, are you concerned that this development of the Karman Line Annex will have a negative impact on the operations of both the Schriever and Peterson Space Force bases, especially in light of the federal government considering moving Space Force out of Colorado? You have 2 minutes.
I think that's a great question. I have actually met with the leadership of Schriever. I'll ask the question, Ann or Dave, have either of you personally met with the Space Force commanders and leadership about this issue officially?
I didn't know this was.
This wasn't.
Okay,
We
I'm sorry,
this.
because Councilman Donelson has represented that the military is opposed to it. I have actually met with the Space Delta leadership. My partners have met with them numerous times. A couple months ago, they actually had a 4-star meeting. Karman Line was crafted not against the military, but frankly with tremendous input. There is a reason why we have put the lowest cost housing the closest to Schriever, and also commercial. I actually sat with the commander out at Peterson and had an official meeting on this, where he said, Eli, what we really need is we need housing for our junior enlisted and our junior officers. We need a gas station that is nearby the base. We need groceries. We need amenities near the base. That is the number one thing we need. If you look at this from a normal development point of view, it's completely illogical, because you should start farther west and build to the east. We've talked to the military explicitly about the buffer zone. The nearest domicile or building from Karman Line to anything inside the secure zone is just about 1.75 miles. Currently, Schriever allows building 0.4 miles of housing building 0.4 miles from their sensitive buildings. When we have had discussions with the actual commanders, and I hope when the opposing side speaks that they answer very clearly, have they had meetings about this or not? Because I've had meetings, my partners have had meetings. They've been very clear to us they are not concerned about the buffer zone. They said that we have taken care of the buffer zone, but what we need is we need attainable housing for our young people. We need commercial properties, and we need it built as soon as possible for both Space Command as well as the Golden Dome.
Who's taking this question?
I am.
Ann Rush, again, military. Are you concerned that this development will have a negative impact on the operations of both Schriever and Peterson Air Force bases, especially in light of the federal government considering moving Space Force out of Colorado Springs? You have 2 minutes.
I think it could potentially have a negative impact. I mean, if you look at Schriever Space Force Base, there's a reason why it's built where it is and how isolated it was. In fact, housings have been moving closer and closer to it. And if you did any type of base ops out there, you'd know that any discussion on mission impacting capabilities or things that would cause an impact to the mission is classified. So there's not a lot of discussion that they can openly talk about. But what I do know is that when they were doing the El Paso County Master Plan, and Schriever had the opportunity to provide their official statements on the record, they had clearly stated that they have the housing that they need, and that they could build additional housing as the missions grow out there. Now, everybody knows that E1 through E4 have a tough time with housing, getting that, and whether it's attainable. And I was just looking at the BAH rates out there. And right now, we actually have, and I'm going to bring those numbers up to you. For the E1 through E4, they bring in 2160 BAH a month. We have 3,625 either homes, townhomes, or apartments that are available right now to adequately support that group. And so we also have currently being built out there 24,817 houses, lots or whatever, developments that are out there. And that does not even include any Banning Lewis Ranch that you're referring to, Eli. This is on the record. These are in development right now off of Bradley and Powers. They're a great proximity for Peterson, Schriever, and for Fort Carson. So to say that, that there's this need for military housing, well, absolutely, because E1 through E4, it's tough, especially if they come in with families. They're not going to get the housing there. But I'll tell you, the Schriever housing on base right now, do you know that there's actually Fort Carson personnel that are living on there and contractors? So I'm just not buying the argument that they're giving.
Okay, we have about a minute and a half left, so I want to give 45 seconds to each side if you want to comment on either water or military. Eli Bremer.
Yeah, absolutely. I just would like to point out, I stated very clearly on the record, I and my partners have had extensive meetings with the military. I will tell you 100% for attribution. They've been extremely supportive of this. They've told us exactly what they want. In fact, we're in discussions with them to run a major pilot program on housing. So we're being very clear, very transparent. I'm not speaking on behalf of the military. I've talked to the military about it, and they've been 100% clear. Asking young people to live 45 minutes from the base and drive in, I'm sorry, I don't want to do that. I want to let these young families live next to the base and actually be able to live, work, and play near where they live and defend our nation.
Okay. Dave Donelson and Rush, 45 seconds. Other statement on water or military?
Yeah, again, this is a memo. It was released the 21st of May from the commander of Space Base Delta 1. And it's unusual for them to release something like this. And let me read you a little piece of it here. These installations were strategically placed in the Pikes Peak region to leverage unique geographic advantages, such as uninterrupted horizon-to-horizon satellite tracking, low electromagnetic interference, separation from dense urban development, and the capability to support expanding DoD space missions. He's giving us a warning here.
And we gave them a 2-mile buffer zone.
It's a quarter of a mile from the fence line to Karman line.
I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to The Peak as we discuss the Karman line annexation, which if you're a Colorado Springs resident, you have a chance to vote on until June 17th. When we come back with Eli Bremer, Ann Rush, and Councilman Dave Donelson, we're going to be talking about safety, fire, and police concerns if this is approved. We'll be right back with The Peak. This is three-minute break. You're still on the live stream.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought copies of it. In
Okay,
case you
and
did.
we're on segment 5.
I'll show you where I had the meeting with his immediate predecessor. I asked this issue point blank because I was stationed out there. I said, "Are you worried about the buffer zone?" He said, "No, we've already taken care of that." And
Wow.
it is a quarter mile from the edge of Karman line to the edge of the outer perimeter of Schriever. I did a Google map. It's going to be just under 2 miles to the nearest of any of the secure buildings. So we've had extensive meetings with them. I didn't want to make a big issue out of it, but this is being grossly misrepresented. Colonel Clocks actually met with us, and so
What do you think? What do you think he means when he says?
He
To
says,
preserve mission capability, the DoD employs tools like REPI, and we engage with state and local partners through mechanisms such as CRS, blah, blah,
Yeah.
which mandates military review of developments within 2 miles of an installation. But it doesn't happen with annexations, right? It waits for a development plan.
Yes, and they will, and they have been very clear about what they wanted to see close by. They don't have any Milcon funds. Okay, now if we want to talk about this on air, I'll talk about it on air. But one of the problems that they're facing right now is because of the CRs that are going on, they can only rent things, they can't buy them. And so they begged us, they said, please put commercial as close to the base as possible. And I said, are you concerned about the buffer zone? And they said, no, we've already taken care of the buffer zone, but we need to move some of the less secure things off site and we can't move it near Peterson. So they said, how fast can you build commercial that we can lease from you? They're also super worried that they've got 7,000 vehicles a day driving in, and they want to cut that down by having people take scooters and e-bikes in. I mean, we've had this level of discussion.
Back in under a minute.
Okay, this is not,
Have
I'm
you
not
talked to
weighing it.
Keith Klein?
By the way, speak up so it's all on the live stream so you get
Oh, yeah.
represented.
So we've had extensive meetings with the actual leadership to the point of them saying, if you can take some of the 7,000 cars off of the parking lot and put them on scooters because they're that close, that would be hugely beneficial. The cars themselves are becoming a major issue. And like I said, because of the Milcon fund issue,
30 seconds.
they want private money to build commercial infrastructure as close as possible to rent.
Why don't they build a parking lot outside the perimeter and just have people hop on the bus, bring the bus in?
She worked out there. It doesn't matter. It was 15 minutes for me from when I got
Hey,
off.
guys, 10 seconds.
It's still
I mean,
just,
I don't-
they still have a
riding a
shuttle out
scooter in?
there, but they don't have the funds to build inside the perimeter is the main thing.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Peak. This is our final segment regarding the Karman line annexation. We're going to be talking about safety and then final statements. We are here discussing it with yes proponent and founding partner of the development project, Eli Bremer, and no proponent, City Councilman Dave Donelson, and ballot initiative registered agent Ann Rush. So this question is going to Dave Donelson to begin with safety. How will concerns such as police and fire response times be handled at such a distance from the city? How will the demand be managed with an additional 6,500 homes? You have 90 seconds.
Yeah. And so I think this is a real concern. You hear citizens talking about this. Our response times have gotten extremely long, like 24 minutes, I believe, for some of the most urgent calls. And this is a concern. Again, this is 3 miles. And I don't, sometimes citizens don't quite understand this. This is 3 miles through the county. You won't be in the city. You'll be driving through the county, and then you'll get to an entrance to another. Well, then you'll get to this little island out there, which will be part of the city. So in the future, there could be a police station out there and police officers out there. But response times will not be helped by this. They'll be hurt by this. And why? Because initially, we don't have very many police officers out patrolling, and they support each other. And you're going to have an area which is all off by itself near to Schriever, and it's really the same thing for fire. And there is an additional cost to that. We do have difficulty now filling the slots, especially for our police department. So it makes sense to have cities which do not have flagpole annexations and additional land outside the city perimeter for that reason.
Okay. Eli Bremer, safety. How will concerns such as police and fire response time be handled at such a distance from the city? How will the demand be managed with an additional 6,500 homes? You have 90 seconds.
Well, we have actually dedicated 40 acres that we're going to give to the city for a police training academy. That's one of the main issues that needs to be done. Additionally, this is going to bend the cost curve of housing substantially down. One of the reasons we have a shortage of police and fire is because we've become fairly unlivable. People want to live here, but police and fire can't afford to. Master plan communities like this are always going to be safer. They're always architected a lot better than when you have these small 20, 30 acre developments that glob onto the side of the city. So it's a demonstrably true statement. This will actually improve the safety for the people that live there. And it's about a 3 to 4 minute response time right now from the edge of the city. But most people listening to this aren't going to be living out there. And what most people should be concerned about is the impact that this will have on their community. The reality of it is, I've got here a copy of the front page of the Democratic Party's website where they're vehemently opposed to this, and take their word for it. What they want is an urbanization of Colorado Springs. As our community grows, they want to do densification and infill. And what that will oftentimes lead to with drastic urbanization is increased crime rates. So again, you can go look at the Democrat Party's website. It's on the front page of their website right now. And ask yourself the question, do you want to change your single family zoning into multifamily? Because that's one of the other alternatives that the opponents are pushing for, is greater infill and densification inside the city. And again, go to the El Paso County Democrats website, and it's right on the front page.
Well, that was our final question. We're now going to be going to final statements. You are listening to the Peak News as we discuss the Karman line annexation with developer Eli Bremer, Councilman Dave Donelson, and other proponent registered agent for this ballot initiative that you are voting for before June 17th. Make sure to do that. Get our research, more research, anything that you can. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. As Eli, you went first at the beginning, we're going to have you go first with this closing statement. You have 1 minute to finalize.
Well, first of all, Chaim, thank you so much for hosting this. I think it's, even though it's a predominantly land use issue, it's an important issue. I started by saying we should pursue the truth. I want to end by saying we should pursue the truth. The truth is, this annexation, this ordinance is going to help the city of Colorado Springs. The truth is, it will not cause any tax increase. It is entirely paid for by the proponents of the project. The truth is, it is going to provide lower cost housing to our military. The truth is, the military actually wants this. They've met with us many times. They're talking about putting us in a pilot program specifically to support military housing. And the truth is, over the next 20 years, our city is going to grow. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want to grow? Do we want to grow toward bringing our bases together? Do we want to be smart with our water and use our water wisely, which this project does? And finally, we've been transparent. I've been very straightforward with who supports it. And that's another reason why you can trust the yes vote.
Councilman Dave Donelson, final statement on the Karman line annex proposal ordinance. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, thanks, Chaim. First, just to double back on the thing about, hey, the Democrat Party wants you to vote no on this. And the Democrat Party wants density in the city. One of the guys who's involved with this, Kevin O'Neill, is the one who's building the skyscraper downtown. He's on the pro-Karman line side. If he's worried that density and tall buildings are bad for the city, it's not reflected in his actions. He's building the biggest apartment building in the city. Citizens need to think about what this is really about. It's about, do you want to annex property into the city that's 3 miles away, a quarter mile from Schriever? Does that make sense to you? We do have slow response times for especially for police right now. Does that make sense? Schriever itself has released, the commander of Schriever has released this memo, and in it there are warnings in there that it was placed there for a reason. They need a secure location. They need a location outside the city. I urge you to vote no.
Time. Website for the yes proponents. Yes. What is the website?
ProtectYourNeighborhoods.com.
ProtectYourNeighborhoods.com. Your website?
It's KLAopposition.com.
KLAopposition.com. Well, thank you to Eli Bremer, Councilman Dave Donelson, and Ann Rush for being here on the Peak. We'll have some final words when we come back from break, but thank you so much. And I want to encourage all of you Colorado Springs voters to vote. Get the information. It's out there. And use your own mind. Don't let people tell you how to think or how to vote. Figure this out for yourself. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to The Peak, where we say the quiet stuff out loud, and we'll be right back.
You have 3 minutes here?
This is a 3-minute break. Cool. But when we come back, I basically close the show. But you got 3 minutes of live stream if you guys want to keep going. Thank you. I think overall that was good. This is hard to do. It's hard to do with the limited time of radio and everything, but I think we did it.
Good.
So thank you
for hosting. I think it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could just stick around until we're done.
Yeah.
And so I don't have an empty room on the video. Thank you, everybody. So again, so I can give the website.
Yeah.
Again, yes is what?
Protect your neighborhoods.
Protect your neighborhoods, plural.
Yeah, .com.
.com and
KLAopposition.com.
KLA opposition.com.
I'm
Right.
sorry, did I say plural or singular? It's singular. Protect
Yeah.
your neighborhoods.
Neighborhood, protect your neighborhood.
Okay, just want to make sure I got that right.
Yep.
So, and just so you know, one of the residents did talk to Colonel Clock on May 9th and got feedback that he was pretty much opposed to what was going on with this. So I didn't, I wasn't part of the conversation, so I didn't want to bring it on the air because I didn't have personal knowledge of what exactly was said, but this was just texted to me. So,
Well, I think he has every ability to come out and say that, but that is different from what the 4-star general over Space Force has said. That's different than we're getting from senior leadership in Washington, D.C.
yeah. But Washington, D.C. and a 4-star is not representing Schriever Space Force Base.
Actually, it's their asset.
Well, there is their asset,
and
but they're not there.
They
do,
set the policy.
They set policies, but he has the right to manage his base. And
Yeah,
so
but-
I think that letter probably was a result of the meeting. So, I think that we haven't seen any words come from the leadership of Schriever until that letter. And the fact that they outwardly spoke about it says something. And as a space operator, that they can't talk about things that are sensitive.
I
Because
was a
everything is.
contracting officer, actually, but yeah.
Oh, you were a contractor?
Yeah, I was a buyer.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to deal with the high cost of living here.
Yeah.
But
And I did too.
I've sat in with the Space Delta commander personally,
Okay.
and I had this. It was about
This one, Colonel
no
Clock?
the predecessor, but
Okay, so-
Kevin sat down with Clock and with the 4-star. And as you know, if a colonel says something and a 4-star has a different opinion, the 4-star's opinion is what's there. And we have brought this up very specifically about the boundary. It is almost 2 miles from the
Sure.
nearest
Hey
operational
guys,
building.
we're back in 10 seconds. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Peak. We love to do these civil discussions. This is really why we exist. We really want you talking. Nobody should be silenced. The voices should get out there. There should be no censorship, and we want you to say the quiet stuff out loud. So join us as a citizen journalist, as an intern. We have James as an intern running the board here at Salem. We have guests, we have sponsors. You can be involved and help us say the quiet stuff out loud about all the issues in town. And so thank you again to Eli Bremer, Dave Donelson, and Ann Rush for being on today. Please make sure to vote if you are eligible to do so by June 17th. The websites for that, again, for the yes side is protectyourneighborhood.com, protectyourneighborhood.com on the no side, KLAopposition.com. What are we doing tomorrow here on The Peak? Well, we're going to be featuring Peak Investigates and our number one investigative journalist, Jordan Baldwin. He's going to be doing a report on this ongoing hate crime hoax story here in town after the trial and conviction of those who perpetrated the hoax. But this also involves our mayor. It goes much deeper. And guess what? It's June. It's Pride Month again. And so we're wondering, how is that going to play out here in Colorado Springs? And guess what? It's related to the other story, too. It's amazing how all these things are tangled together when you go investigate them. Now stay tuned for the Larry Elder Show coming up next on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. Check out our now 250 podcasts on our website, thepeak.news. The Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud, and with your help, we're saying it even louder and louder and louder. Please share this program with those who you know need to vote also. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to The Peak for such a time as this.